right, guys, give us 1 second here. Live event is starting. All right, what is up, Watch fam? I am Christian from Theo and welcome to Ask TNH Live. We're doing this every week now. It is a ton of fun, and that's it. I love this whole live thing. I think that the benefit here of doing it, live as opposed to just the videos like we do on Mondays or other times throughout the week, is I get the opportunity to just answer a lot more questions that maybe I don't think deserve a whole video, but definitely deserve some attention, deserve some time, So that's actually pretty well said, I think. I think I said that pretty well. So that's what's going on. What questions? It's KB says, I'm high as fuck right now. What's up? Then good for you. I hope that you are enjoying that, my friend. All right, welcome back. Dale Selman? Gesselman? Says welcome back. All right, let's start with the questions. What do we got? Would you ever consider a monthly plan past 2 months? Absolutely, and we're gonna introduce one soon, I think. That becomes not 30 months. I don't think 30 months, but I'd consider a 4-month plan. I'd consider a 4-month plan because, well, obviously we'd have to raise our interest rate. We'd have to raise the one-time fee. We do 3% right now. It might have to be 4 or 4.5, which is only a one-time fee, so it's not compounding, which is very important. People aren't getting tricked. For those of you who don't know, on YouTube, on the Theo and Harris Watch Shop, we offer a 2-month payment plan because watches are expensive. Like, very plainly put, a vintage Rolex, at $3,000 is a lot of money. And most people in the world, and even most people in middle America, or most people even in middle class, forget the world. I mean, just middle class Americans don't necessarily have $3,000 to spend on a watch, But plenty of people are so passionate about watches that they want to make it happen, and I'm here to help. So that's, I can't give away watches for free, but I can work with people. And that's what we do. So the TNH payment plan gives everyone 2 months to pay for their watch. It's 3 payments, one 20% down payment, and then 2 40% payments, and that's it. And it's really wonderful. We have dozens active right now. It's really great. People really people really love it. So I'm very proud of it. But let's get into shit like this now. McDonald's right now. I'm drinking some Dunkin' Donuts, which is good. Value prop next to Breitling. Next to Starbucks. That's so funny. Okay, let's talk about Breitling sale. That's actually right, Dale. This is actually one of my notes for today's conversation, the Breitling sale. Mind you, my notes are very scribble, and they mean nothing. My notes say Breitling sale, revisit Nomos, versatility, Nachtblau. Those are my notes. So let's talk about Breitling. I think that it's very interesting that Breitling is sold. They sold for something like $870 million, which is obviously a lot of money. It's not. I mean, it's obviously a lot. It's close to $1 billion. But it is funny to me that Breitling is worth less than like a lot of NFL franchises. That's kind of funny to me that those often trade really close to $1 billion, and then Breitling is only $870 million. I guess it's all kind of I don't know, just so big that it doesn't really matter, but still, I think it's funny. Anyway, Breitling sold. I don't know what they're going to do. It's CVC Partners or Group or something like that bought them, and I have no idea what is going to happen with Breitling. I have no idea. I can tell you what I hope. I hope that Breitling becomes a very profitable company. Maybe, geez. I hope that Breitling becomes a very profitable company because it will give people jobs, and it will, it'll be good for a lot of people. I hope that they do the right things with that money. Yeah, I hope that Breitling or any company would give an opening, or give an opportunity for a lot of younger people to enter the real watch kind of fam, enter the watch world. I get asked very often, is it possible for me, a 18-year-old or whatever, to really want to, or is it possible for an 18-year-old to strive and be in the watch industry? And the answer that I give most often is really like, no. Like, unless you want to be a salesman, which is a wonderful career if that's your thing, then really no. The opportunities are so slim, which is crazy. That's a crazy thought. So that's obviously a bad, that's obviously a scary idea. So if Breitling were to be that company, to really bring, the watch world into attainability for so many people. Not for the actual products, but for the experience. I mean, that would be wonderful. Breitling would make a huge impact. And in turn get so many people more interested in their company, more interested in their watches and their whole kind of narrative. And I think that there's potential there. I don't think that a partnership with Bentley brings you everywhere. I don't think that it'll happen. So, what do we got here? Thoughts on wristwatch check. People want a wristwatch check. I am wearing a Tudor. I don't remember the reference, but it's on the website. Actually, this watch just sold, actually. Beautiful small rose. Sorry, you guys can't really see it. Beautiful small rose dial with a smooth bezel. This is a beautiful watch. I have it on a really great gray strap. I'm a big fan. Someone just asked, do you think that Tudor will release a smaller case size for the Ranger? It's possible. It's very possible. I don't know how likely it is, but it's possible. What's the smallest size now? 40? Maybe they'll do a 38. I believe that. Breitling needs to focus on a core watch and build from there. Their range of watches is all over the board. In my opinion, they should focus on the Navitimer as their franchise watch. Great remark there. I don't necessarily agree. I think that Breitling does need to kill a lot of their models. I think they need to focus their offering. But there are a couple of cool models in Breitling. I do think that there's room for the Navitimer, the Colt, and then maybe a more refined piece. Like I believe the Transocean, the Super Ocean Heritage, or something like that. I think that there's room for 4 watches. I do. The Colt, which is the really just badass kind of like the Breitling beater. A very true sports watch or tool watch. Then you have the Navitimer, which has become a little bit more blingy. Then a Transocean, which is still a chronograph, but in a little bit more of a refined kind of dressy way, and then the Super Ocean Heritage, which would basically be a competitor with the Submariner. So I do think that there's room for that. I do think that it would be smart for Breitling, and I think that it would. Hopefully, this helps with the audio, guys. I do think that it would be advantageous for Breitling to have 4 core lines. But you're right. There's just so much. There's just so much excess there. I mean. It's kind of crazy, and these watches are expensive. They're not even like cheap. They're really expensive. So that's how I feel. What's your favorite grand complication? I don't know. Perpetual calendar. Perpetual calendar. I'm a big fan. Does the minute repeater count as a grand complication? I believe so. That's a big favorite for me. I love the idea of a very fine watch, a very simple fine watch with a minute repeater. Yeah, I love that idea of the ultimate just discretion. Like nobody knows what this is, and yet it's one of the most magnificent watches out there. I love that idea. So, but that's kind of why I like vintage watches as a whole, though. I go outside with a vintage Tudor, and no one knows what the frig I'm wearing. I mean, no one knows what I'm wearing, which I'm fine with. I couldn't, I love that actually. I love that people who do care, even if they don't know anything about vintage watches. Let's say shoes are their thing. I find that people who have a kind of material interest in the more obscure and the more luxurious, they do care. People who have no affiliation with watches, for instance. I know someone that was a pen person, a paper people. I know a lot of people that are interested in different things that I'm not, but they have that fundamental nature, that brings them to appreciate odd little intricate differences that make things better. And those people, whether they like watches or not, often ask me questions about my watches, often want to know, cool, so why that? Like, what is that and why? So I appreciate that a lot. I love that conversation, because that conversation I actually can tell that they mean it. And that to me means a lot. I can actually tell that the question desired an answer, as opposed to how's work? Oh, it's good? Oh, that's cool. I don't answer that shit. When someone asks that, I just say, it works. Yeah, it works, great. Fuck off. Don't ask me questions you don't want to know the answer to. Okay, let's, what's your opinion on the Seagull 1963? I've gotten into a hobby 6 months, a couple of sacred divers. So the problem with the Seagull chronograph is mostly the most famous problem is quality control. It's a really big problem. Because they're inexpensive movements, they are purchased by people who have no interest in making good watches. Buy them because, like I said, they're cheap, and then fuck them up. I mean, they just butcher these things. I've heard of stories with things falling in them. I've heard of stories. I mean, like hair and just dirt. I don't mean like you go into the park and you just pour it in there, but that's what I think. That's what I think is so important. Someone just that's what I think is important to know. By the way, I kind of drifted off there. That's what's important to know. Many people who are buying them, they're disgusting. I mean, but there's nothing inherently wrong with the watch. Sean wants to know, or Shan, regarding the TNH 2-month payment plan. Is there any catch to it? Is there like an extra percentage? Well, yes, there is. So there are two catches. One, you don't get your watch until you're done paying. Two, your down payment is non-refundable. It's the same thing as a return. It's basically that down payment is the same thing as if it was a full payment. We treat it the same way. You can return it for store credit and all that stuff, but you can't put a down payment, then 2 weeks later say, you know what, I don't want the watch. I mean, you can, and we'll handle it, but you don't just get your money back. We do a store credit or we do anything to make you happy, but we can't just let people frivolously go and reserve watches, and then we can't sell them. For example, when you go on J. Crew or Brooks Brothers, you can buy a shirt and return it because they have 80,000 shirts. So your temporary ownership of that shirt had nothing to do with their other sales. But when we are relying on the sales of 3 or 4 watches a week, and they're specific watches, and let's say 2 of them per week are being reserved by people who really have no intention or very little intention of keeping them, that would ruin my business. That would really, really hurt. So that's why we got to make it clear. As far as the extra percentage, yes, it's a one-time 3% fee, which we have negotiated in the past on very high ticket items, but basically if it's a $1,000 watch, it's $30. So it's $30, buys you 2 months, and I think that's very fair. And the only reason we do that is not to hurt you, but because there are cash flow problems. If we have to continue buying watches, and our bills are enormous for the the amount of watches that we purchase, if I have to continue buying watches, and 40% of the watches I'm selling are through payment plan, then I don't have any cash coming in. So that's it. It's only a matter of time before I'm broke. So yes, there's a small 3% fee that we just have to associate there. So and I'm very transparent. I'm trying to be totally honest about this stuff because I want you guys to understand and feel comfortable. All right, what's going on here? I'm enjoying this high. I'm glad you're enjoying this high, brother. Your glasses in your profile picture, your bio, look like you'd be high right now. Let's see. So how's work? That's great. But really, how is work? Someone just asked, but really, how is work? Work is great. I want to do this a little bit more often. I want to do like a State of the Union for TNH. Work is great. TNH is a wonderful, wonderful company, and I couldn't be happier with the company. I think that I don't know how introspective I want to get on live Instagram feed, but there are some more things we want to do. We want to introduce one more video a week. We want to perfect the videos we have going while simultaneously introduce another video a week, another video on Wednesdays. I want to have more videos that are shareable, that appeal to, although they're the watch fam, that appeal to more people. We want to evangelize. We want more and more people being interested in TNH, in watches. So it has to achieve both. So the more content we put out there, the larger the opportunity for us to reach more people, and then convert them to vintage watch fans. So that is an enormous thing, and that's a very difficult task because it is so obscure. Someone just asked, by the way, Jared Valdez. Yes, we list watches on Tuesday at about 7 a.m. Eastern Standard, but that's it. So that's have you considered energy? So that's what's going on with the company. A little kind of 1 second thing about me, not to go further into this, but I was talking about this before with Anna, our editor. And I was saying, as the owner and the director of TNH, I think that one of the reasons, or one of the largest reasons that TNH is such a successful company, is because and we as a team, because we all are kind of this way. It's 3 people, we're all kind of this way. But I am Really always kind of on a level, like on a large level, dissatisfied with the progress, and that is it. Although it's difficult to deal with, it is very, very important for progress. If I was just happy with the 4 videos or 5 videos a week, and at the level that they are at, then I think that TNH would eventually plateau, and that's a bad thing. You don't want a plateaued business. I want the business to be getting better and better and stronger and more complex and more focused. I want Theo and Harris to be the best sales funnel for vintage watches in the world. No question. Kind of drop the mic. And then if someone were to buy it, they can turn that into the best sales platform, sales funnel for watches. That's fine by me. But I want to build it on vintage. But that's my little spiel. So just so you guys have a little State of the Union. I'm gonna do that every week. I'm gonna do a little State of the Union every week. But let's go back into questions. Thoughts on Cuervos y Sobrinos? What kind of thoughts could I have? I mean, those stamps, a lot of them are fake, a lot of them are real. They demand high numbers, and to me, they are investment pieces. They should not. I mean, in my humble opinion, I would never pay extra for a Cuervo or Sobrino stamp. Maybe for a Tiffany stamp, maybe I don't know, but not that large of a premium, and it would be primarily on investment. So that's. Miguel wants a shout out. You got to shout out, Miguel. Fucking Miguel, you're hysterical, buddy. Let's see. Is there a future for it? A future for what? Is the retail for luxury watches dying? Is there a future for it? What needs to change? I mean, narrative needs to change 100%. These people are making it so material, and it's all about the material that it's boring. For example, you have Daniel Wellington, right? A company that, really makes a shitty watch. They really do make a shitty fucking watch. And they sell, and they made hundreds of millions of dollars. Why have they made hundreds of millions of dollars? Because Daniel Wellington really understands image and narrative. And that's really important. So, the thing that I always laugh about is, if I can make $1 billion selling something that's kind of shitty, right? No one else has an excuse. No one else has an excuse to fail. Patek, Breitling, Rolex, no one has an excuse because someone else out there, a better salesperson, a better salesman is selling an inferior product and making a lot more money. So that to me is hysterical. And yes, there are companies that can murder Daniel Wellington. Swatch should fucking murder Daniel Wellington. There is no reason that Swatch, with their manufacturer capabilities, because they can reach such a low price point, can't. I mean, when I talk about slaughter, I mean cut the throats of Daniel Wellington. But they won't because they're soft and they're rich and they don't care. They're not hungry. And that's just so obvious. You walk into their retail shop so often, and it's just, just so like, oh, okay. There's no storytelling. There's nothing. I mean, look at Omega. What's the story Omega communicated at Baselworld? What's the story? Our old watches are better than our new watches. I mean, they did release a beautiful. All the reissues were nice, but they released a beautiful, new Railmaster, which was great, and I loved it. But that was it. I loved it for the material of it. I didn't love any messaging around it. So that to me is it's weak. It's weak. It's weak for it's weak for a $300,000 business. Nonetheless, a $300 million business or close to $1 billion business. I mean, Omega's got to be worth more than Breitling, right? Omega's worth more than $1 billion. So that to me is hysterical. Christian, when are we going to see you again? Miss you, and September is a long time away. Daniel Castellano, is that my cousin Dan on YouTube? Is my cousin Dan watching our YouTube? What's up, buddy? I miss you. My cousin Dan is the man. Unless that's just not him. That also could not be my cousin. I have no idea. You should text me sometime. I'd love to hang out with you and Jackie. Got a great family, guys. I got a great family. Very important to me. Will the Oyster Quartz get more valuable? Great question. The Oyster Quartz, Rolex Oyster Quartz, which are very, very cool watches, will they get more valuable? You know why? You know what I think is a good buy? I think that like minty, crispy, fresh, sharp motherfucking Oyster Quartzes, Oyster Quartai, are worth it. I think that those watches are so like obvious when you see them. You know, like I'll put it this way: a sharp Datejust versus a soft Datejust isn't that different. I mean, they're different, but they're not that different. Whereas the oyster quartz, because it's entirely predicated on cuts and angles, that matters. You know, so when you have one that's just sharp as shit, it's a totally different watch than one that's been polished and soft. So that's it's funny. Jason Whitehurst, my boy, great guy. What a gentleman. He's a watch geek. He's a watch geek, and he's a real gentleman. He's a real gentleman. So you guys should check him out. Yeah, my cousin Dan. Yo, what's up, Dan? Text me. You have my phone number? If you have my phone number, text me. We should talk. What else we got here? That is the beauty of the internet. You never know who you're talking to. Yeah, it's funny, man. I can't tell you how many times I've been on, YouTube or on Instagram or on anywhere, and I got these messages from people, and I talk to people like talk to them regularly that I have no business talking to. I talk to as many people do. I'm not special, but I talk to people that are just so much more. If you were to kind of like rank people, which is an awkward thing to do, like so much better than I am, like in the success in the world, and people that I really, in no other circumstance would be sharing drinks with or coffee with. I have no other circumstance would I have the opportunity to pick their brain at all. But then when you boil it down to watches, and we're talking about pull routers and Datejusts and Enicar Sherpagraphs, all of a sudden, it's an even playing field, and we're just, having fun. So I think that's great. So I think that's. You don't have my number, Dan? Then get it from Jackie. Get it from Jackie, and she will. You can text me from that. So email you for drinks. Yeah, fuck yeah, email me for drinks. If you're in New York, New Jersey, I will meet you. If it's Long Island, it's Long Island. If it's South Jersey, it's South Jersey. We will figure it out. I promise. I promise. I always love. People. Name one. No, I'm not going to name one. That's an invasion of privacy. I'm not going to name people that have messaged me. I'm just not going to. Okay, now I need to how I'm in your ranking system. No, I love you guys. Yeah, man, you're the man. I played soccer today, and I wore your Google tee. It's awesome. What do you think of Solar and Connect? I don't know. I'm sorry. Do you know anything about wall clocks? I don't. I'm sorry. Leather straps for warmer weather. Yes, they're good. They're still good. How was the opera with your mom? Opera with my mom and I. If you guys, first of all, if you don't already, follow us on Instagram at Theo and Harris. This is where people know that I went to the opera yesterday, because I'm very personal and have a lot of fun on Instagram. Every year, my mother and I go to the opera. We see a different opera once a year. It was a tradition that my grandmother started with my mother and I, and then she passed away a year after we did it. So my mom and I have done it for 8 years since, and we love it. I love going. It's hysterical. People are so pompous, and they're just so unlike my mother and I. We're very normal, polished people, and normal people. But there are people that are just so. Just douchey, and that's coming from someone who, wears a gold Rolex quite often. But it's just so not about that. Or just have a funny time. We're like, we're Jersey trash. You know what I mean? Like compared to these people and their perception, or in their perception, we would be Jersey trash. But screw them. Screw them. They just sit there and they don't talk to the person they're sitting with, and they'll have their drink and they'll eat like this. And then they donate $400,000 a year to the opera, and I'm like, you know what? I'd rather have fun. So, what's your favorite Ace Ventura film? Pet Detective. Isn't that all it is? Any travel to Barcelona and make a history a couple of days before we can have a cup of coffee? I would love that. I've been to Barcelona and it was beautiful. I love Barca, but that's. I love it. I would totally go again. Would you ever own a quartz watch? Absolutely, I would own a quartz watch. I would depending on the deal, depending on what it was. I own and I love my quartz swatch 100%. I love it. And I would buy a quartz Royal Oak, frankly, if it was the right price and the right condition. No question at all. So yes, it has to have a problem. You mentioned in past videos that no-name Valjoux chronographs are great value props. Yeah, the Valjoux 7730, 7733, 34, those are great value. There are a lot of watches there that are really just beautiful, and they have a lot of value. I think at sometimes 1,000, at sometimes $1,500, depending on the dial and things like that. But they're great watches. Okay, what do we talk about? Oh, I'll talk about Nomos. I made a video a couple of weeks ago about a Nomos model. The I don't know what it was called. It was Aqua. I don't know what it was. I actually have a photo and I'll pull it up for you guys. Let's pull this up. Almost there. Okay, Instagram will see it first, and then YouTube. So they produced these two watches, these two Ahoys, and the Ahoys are dive watches. They produced one in red and then one in blue. I don't remember what blue and blau and rue. I don't know I don't know how to say these things in German. But anyway, they produced these two watches, and I love them. I gave them a wonderful review. I thought that it was just awesome. And the one variable I didn't talk about that I thought was very pertinent and interesting, was this idea of versatility. And how versatile something needs to be for $3,000. And someone brought it up in the comments, and that was like their biggest critique. Like, how could a $3,000 and change watch, or how much money it was, be in that red ridiculous color? Like, are we kidding? Like, when are you gonna wear it? So I responded a little bit. I didn't cause a whole thing, but I think that what I would have talked about if I did bring it up, or did bring that kind of aspect up, would have been, I don't expect everyone, because I gave a great review, to want this watch now. In fact, it's obvious that that's a very isolating watch, because at $3,000, most people are going to want to watch because their style and their budget that they can wear always. They can always wear. So I get that. No, a blue and a red Nomos, these summertime colors are not watches that you're going to wear all the time. So for that number, that dollar, that price point, it's too much. And that would only be a value prop at $200 because it's a $200, fun watch. But it's not. It's a $3,000 serious watch. And I have no problem with that, because at the end of the day, you only need something to be as versatile as you need it to be, and whether that's as far as business is concerned, did Nomos make the right call? I have no idea. Worst case scenario, they take their unsold models, get rid of the dials and just put blue dials on them, or dark blue, the Nacht Blau. So that's totally, possible. But from a business perspective, I don't know if it was a good idea, but from a design perspective, from a creation perspective, I love it. Because there are plenty of people, in my opinion, or at least a couple, that are really going to love this watch. I mean, it's a Rolex Stella dial if it was a German sub, and I just love that. I love the entire idea of the watch. I love that it was a thin, automatic, almost dress watch looking diver. I think that's great. I think that's so interesting with like this NATO almost strap. It's so not what we know as a diver. It's so the opposite of what we're typically, used to, accepting as a diver. It's not a 50 fathoms. It's not a Submariner, and I love that about it. So, that's it. That's my spiel there. Who wants to talk about watches now? Ready? What am I wearing? What's going on in the shop next week? Let's start off with an amazingly large Enicar. Let's check this out. This is a watch that I was lucky enough to source in Manhattan from a collector and friend with its original bracelet. I mean, this is some sick shit, guys. Look at this. It's talk about it for a second. The double original crowns, I mean, obviously are a huge variable here, right? Further, the case is just enormous. I mean, this is a big dive watch. This to me is so much more interesting. And I know that a lot of people out there love Doxa watches, but this is to me just so much more interesting because of the roll time bezel, because of the Pepsi inner rotating bezel, because of the super compressing case, because of the original bracelet. I mean, this watch for so many reasons just beats out so many other comparable watches. I think that it's just I think that it's a beautiful beautiful piece. So I am an enormous fan, and that's it. So it's all original, and I think it's a lot of fun. I think this watch is a lot of fun. Sorry, it just threw me off. I was just looking at the Pepsi while I was speaking at the same time. So and the Pepsi is just mint. The Pepsi's mint. And what's funny is the Pepsi configuration is the more desirable configuration. They came in a couple of other colors, but this was the most desirable one. And the original bracelet, although loose, is in very good condition. I mean, it's in very good condition. So it has that cloudy original, finishing that I love. The lugs are thick and sharp. I mean, this is a watch, man. This is a watch. I love it. Next, let's jump over to the chronograph. We're keeping in the complications. Let's jump over to the chronograph world. This is a Hellbros with a silver dial and a black, these two black subdials. So it's a Panda. I put it on this green, beautiful leather strap. And wow, this watch just feels so right on my wrist. This is the kind of watch that I'm always kind of like considering keeping and just don't because I don't have all of the money that I wish I had. What was the maker on that? The maker on that was an Enicar. So this is Hellbros though. I love the don't cream your pants. I know, right? I love the orange seconds here. Another Valjoux movement. I love the original patina and the original patina. The original loom. This is just a beautiful watch, and the case is in wonderful, wonderful condition. So both of these watches are hitting the watch shop at theowenharris.com on Tuesday. Let's speed it up. Let's hit a Rolex Datejust, this time with a wide boy dial, matching handset, and I mean, look at that. This is a beautiful, beautiful piece. The steel case is just incredibly sharp. Although I mentioned before that you don't have to have as sharp of a case in the Datejust as you might with an Oyster Quartz. It also doesn't hurt. When you have the sharp case in the Datejust. I love looking at it. This is a sharper example than my personal Datejust, but it's just so beautiful. I love the wide boy. And what's cool as well is so many of the wide boys that I know and get to own are non-luminous, but this is a luminous example. So I'm having a lot of fun with this. I've had this watch for at least a month. So I've really liked it and enjoyed it for a month. You guys know I'm a Datejust guy. I mean, Datejusts are my favorite watches. There's no question. So is the Datejust a Jubilee original? Yes, it is. So I'm a Datejust guy, through and through. There's no question. But I have to sell them. I have no choice but to sell these watches. It's my job. But sometimes when I can hold on to one for a month or whatever, it's very, very obviously a kind of geeky moment for that. Hey Christian, how much did you pay for your Datejust? I paid $23. I paid $3,300 for it. I think I was 18. I was much richer then than I am now. I'll tell you that. But all right, let's go to Tudor. Let's stay in this Rolex family, and let's hit Tudor. This is a crazy watch. This is the watch that I have. This is the first. Let's preface here. This is the first of this watch that I've ever owned. I've never had another one of these. This is radium. This is black dial with radium lume, and these hands that are somewhere between dagger and syringe. It's a gold-plated case. This is a watch from the London City collection. British cities. Yeah, British cities. That them, but done so. So this is the third one that I've owned. This is an Oyster York. So this is a Tudor Oyster York, and it is something else. Every other indice is Arabic. The others are just hash marks. This is just freaking nuts. If you are a Tudor or Rolex fan, you just can't help but to just be amazed by this. What I think is just so crazy is if this had Rolex on the dial, this watch would be $5,000-$6,000. I mean, no question. I mean, there's just no question of the that there's no question. Just because of the originality, because of the radium. I mean, this is unbelievable. But it's it's not. I mean, it's not. It's less than a Datejust. Which is, I feel like an idiot saying that. I feel like I'm gonna watch this video in 5 years and say, you sold that for less than a Datejust, you fucking ass. And I'm sure I'll feel that way, and then my son or my daughter is going to say, the same way that I tell my grandfather, you didn't buy Apple, you ass, my son or daughter is going to say, you owned one of those Tudors, you fucking idiot, and you sold it, but I don't know. Maybe I won't sell it. I don't know. I have until Thursday to decide. No, but that's it. What else we have here? Oh yeah, this is a really cool watch too. This is a new old stock. I don't know what the lugs are called on this, but they just remind me of such like Greek architecture. Maybe I'm totally wrong. It's new old stock. It's called Flexo. It has the original hang tag. I mean, this is just a cool freaking watch too. Wow, actually, it's much more than cool. Are the hands black? I mean, the hands are this glossy black, this massive, oversized subseconds. It reminds me so much of like a vintage. It reminds me so much of a vintage, like Longines in many ways, but not the lugs. But I think the dial configuration reminds me of that. I don't even know what to call the hands on this watch because they're so odd. This is a watch that I would love to keep as well. Obviously, I'm much closer to keeping this in the Tudor, in as far as my affordability is concerned, as far as the affordability is concerned. But Christian, I have a smaller 6.5. I have a smaller 6.5 inch wrist. Do you think I could pull off a Datejust? 6.5 inch wrist, you can pull off both, no question. You can pull off both, literally no question. Okay, Instagram, get a look. Yes, sorry, beautiful. Yes, you can pull off both of those watches. You're lucky that you would be comfortable enough with a 34 millimeter watch. Many people won't, but it's important that you would feel comfortable. Obviously, go with the one you want. 34 millimeters are less expensive, which is great, but they're both really great. How does new old stock happen on really old watches? It happens because they were locked away. Someone bought them and that's it. Someone bought a watch and then put it away or got it as a gift and put it away. My grandfather has a vintage Omega from 55 that he maybe got in 57. And it's not new old stock, but maybe he's worn it 24 times, Just never wore it. It was a wedding watch, and he's a cab driver. He delivered meat, and he was a meat delivery guy. He was a cab driver. That's it. That's what the guy did. So no, he wasn't wearing a freaking Seamaster. What occasion? A wedding. And how many people were married from 57 until now? Two dozen? I don't know. So not that many, that's for sure. What do we have here? Fuck, that's cool. What's that one called? Flexo. Yeah, Flexo. Yeah. For people with smaller wrists, would you ever recommend a Rolex mid-size, also called boy size? Yes, I always recommend small watches. I'm a huge fan of small watches. Seriously. There are very few people out there that are as big of advocates of small watches as I am. I promote 32 millimeter watches, 31 millimeter watches. So you're never going to hear me shake my head at a boy's size watch. I think that they're great. I think that they're really great. What else are we talking about? Nacht Blau. Oh, go back to Nomos for a second. I think that the Nacht Blau would be the best color for those two watches. I love them the way they are, but the Nacht Blau would be the most approachable and most mainstream color. Which is beautiful. Check out the Nomos website, by the way. Go on Nomos store, nomos-store.com and check it out. I think that it's very, very, very cool, very beautiful. I bought a Speedy that is 17 years old and has never been serviced before. It's running around 15 seconds. Yeah, you should service that. Yeah, it's 17 years old. It's got to be serviced. You could have some serious problems and you don't even realize, and you're not even seeing the time loss. But there could be corrosion. I mean, you could really be ruining some parts there. So, to not scare you, I would service that shit. I would also shoot me an email at service@theowenharris.com because I'll hook you up. But yeah, it's just whether you go with me or someone else, service that because it needs it. And then don't be cheap, spend the money. Nomos, awesome watches. That's right, Rolando Zarone. For you guys on Instagram, follow Rolando Zarone. He just commented Nomos, amazing watches. That is my dad, and he made an Instagram account recently. For wine. He's a wine geek, and I'm teaching him Instagram. I'm teaching him the nuances and how to get famous-ish, how to be really impactful on Instagram, something that we've been pretty good at TNH, and he's really taking to it. It's really, really fun. He's a student. He's willing to learn the same way that I'm willing to learn from him. And that's it. Any tips on buying off of eBay, do's and don'ts? If you're scared of the thing, don't buy it. If you're not sure, don't buy it. Only buy if you're sure, and don't be afraid to ask other people's help. If you email me, I can't promise I'm going to get back to you, but I'll always try. You know how many emails for people checking out YouTube links I get a day? A lot. I just can't answer all of them. I just can't. And then the last thing I need in my life is someone to say, you told me to buy that off of eBay. Like you gave me the okay, and I got it, and it was a Franken watch. I'm like, dude, come on. I told you to buy off the shop. First of all, I told you that if you didn't want to spend the real money, then, then don't. Tips on vintage JLC in the $5,000-$6,000 range. Is there any? Yeah, there are a lot. There are a lot. There are a lot. You can even spend less. We have an amazing black dial JLC from the 50s, I think. It's freaking unbelievable. Check it out. It was imported by Vacheron Constantin, and it was just amazing. They still have it. If you guys ever want to check it out at just shoot me an email. I'll send you a photo. Have you ever bought a watch from the forums? I think I've purchased 5 or 6 watches off the forums, probably about a year ago. I haven't really gone on since. I just haven't. I have some accounts, but I have not used them. I'm very afraid of the forums. I'm very, very afraid. I like to deal with people I trust and know, and on the forums I don't trust or know really anybody. So that's scary. That's a scary thing. So that's it, guys. I'm gonna sign off here. I'm gonna sign off. Thank you so much for watching. It's all JLC are imported Vacheron. Yes, VTX, exactly. You're exactly right. VTX is the stamp in the little rectangle there. But it's cool to see the stamp. It really is cool. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. What's your dad's Instagram account? Rolando Zerone. It's Rolando Zerone. Thank you guys so much for watching Ask TNH Live. This is my pleasure. I love doing this. Love doing the series. It's so much fun, and I just really do have a blast. So that's it. Don't forget to follow Theo and Harris on Instagram at Theo and Harris, if you couldn't guess. And if you're on YouTube, do not forget to subscribe to our channel. We're doing 5 videos a week. Our content is getting better and better and better, and we couldn't be happier. So that's it, guys. Thanks so much again. Adios. That was a good vid. Oh wait, I'm not off of